Picture yourself standing in one of the most extreme places on Earth, the harsh, sun-baked lands of northern Namibia, where temperatures can make your smartphone shut down from overheating and where water is so scarce that bathing becomes a luxury most can't afford. Now imagine surviving here not just for a vacation, but for your entire life, generation after generation. That's exactly what the Himba people have done, and they've done it with such style and grace that they've become one of the most photographed indigenous groups in the entire world. But trust me, there's way more to them than just those iconic images you've probably seen on Instagram or travel magazines. When most of us complain about our Wi-Fi being slow or our coffee getting cold, the Himba women are out there carrying water for miles, plastering homes with their bare hands, and maintaining ancient traditions that have kept their culture alive despite everything the modern world has thrown at them. They're basically the ultimate survival experts, but with a fashion sense that would make any designer jealous. Today, we're taking you on a journey to understand these remarkable women who coat themselves in a distinctive red ochre mixture, sport elaborate hairstyles that tell their life stories, and navigate the delicate balance between preserving their ancient ways and surviving in a rapidly changing world. They're not just surviving in one of the harshest environments on the planet, they're thriving with a cultural richness that puts our modern conveniences to shame. This is the world of the Himba women, the red guardians of ancient traditions who might just teach us a thing or two about what really matters in life. So who exactly are these fascinating people that we're talking about? Well, the Himba, or Over Himba as they call themselves, singular, Omu Himba, are an indigenous ethnic group with about 50,000 people living mostly in northern Namibia's Kunene region, formerly known as Kaokoland. Some also live across the Kunene River in southern Angola. Fun fact, the word Himba actually comes from the ochre language and means beggar, reflecting the tough times their ancestors went through. These people are semi-nomadic pastoralists, which is a fancy way of saying they herd livestock and move around when they need to find water and grazing land. They're not completely nomadic though. They do have permanent settlements where they grow crops, but they'll pack up and move temporarily depending on the rainfall and where they can find water. Think of it like having a main home, but also going on really long camping trips when you need to. The Himba speak Ochi Himba, which is a variety of Herero, belonging to the Bantu family of languages. They're culturally related to, but distinct from the Herero people, who are another ethnic group in the region. What makes the Himba special is that they're considered the last semi-nomadic people of Namibia. They've stuck to their traditional ways while many other groups have modernized. Their homes, called ongundas, are small family villages consisting of huts arranged in a circle around two important things: the okuruwo, sacred ancestral fire, and a kraal, enclosure, for their sacred livestock. The Himba are extremely resourceful with their environment. They use a clever pasture system where they let certain grazing areas rest during the rainy season. This smart approach actually results in better grass growth compared to constantly grazing all areas. It's sustainable farming that modern agricultural experts would approve of. What's really interesting about the Himba is how they've managed to hold on to their cultural identity despite some seriously hard times. In the 1980s, they faced a terrible drought that killed about 90% of their animals, and many had to become refugees living on humanitarian aid. They were also caught in the crossfire during Namibia's War of Independence and the Civil War in Angola, but somehow they bounced back and kept their traditions alive. Now that we know a bit about who the Himba are, let's zoom in on what really makes them stand out: the incredible women who are the backbone of this resilient culture. Let's talk about what probably caught your attention in the first place: that stunning red skin that makes the Himba women instantly recognizable around the world. But this isn't just some fashion statement or beauty trend. There's so much more to this practice than meets the eye. The secret behind that gorgeous red glow is something called ochre, a paste made from butterfat mixed with ochre, a naturally occurring earth pigment that contains iron oxide, and sometimes the aromatic resin of the omuzumba shrub to give it a pleasant scent. Every morning, Himba women spend hours carefully applying this mixture all over their skin and hair. And it's not a quick 5-minute routine like putting on some sunscreen. This is a serious commitment that can take up to an hour each day. Now you might be wondering, why on earth would anyone spend that much time smearing red paste all over themselves every single day? Well, for starters, it's super practical. The Kunene region is brutally hot and dry, and water is incredibly scarce. The ochre paste actually cleanses the skin over long periods without requiring water. It's also a natural sunscreen that protects against the harsh desert sun and keeps the skin moisturized in the arid climate. Plus, it's a brilliant insect repellent that keeps away mosquitoes and other bugs. But the ochre is so much more than just a practical solution to environmental challenges. In Himba culture, the deep red color symbolizes the earth's rich color and blood, the essence of life itself. It's considered the ultimate beauty ideal, something that makes a woman truly beautiful in the eyes of her community. The smooth, shiny, red-tinged skin is a sign of health, vitality, and cultural pride. What's also fascinating is how the ochre application becomes a social event. Women often gather together to help each other apply the paste, using this time to chat, share news, and strengthen their community bonds. It's like a modern-day trip to the salon, but with deeper cultural significance. Young girls learn the technique from their mothers and aunts, passing down this tradition through generations. While the women are known for their red appearance, Himba men generally use ochre less frequently, usually just for special occasions. This visual distinction helps to immediately identify gender roles within the community. In a world where water is incredibly precious, the Himba have developed another ingenious cleaning method, the smoke bath. Women will place smoldering charcoal in a small bowl with herbs and aromatic resins, then bend over the bowl, allowing the smoke to rise and cleanse their bodies. For a full body wash, they'll cover themselves with a blanket to trap the smoke. It's basically a desert-friendly version of a steam room. So the next time you see a photo of a Himba woman with her striking red appearance, remember, it's not just makeup. It's a powerful expression of identity and a clever adaptation to one of the world's most challenging environments. If you think your hair tells a story, wait until you hear about the Himba women's hairstyles. For them, hair isn't just something to style for a night out. It's basically a walking, talking Wikipedia page about who they are, where they're at in life, and their social status. It's like having your entire Facebook profile displayed on your head. From the moment they're born, Himba children's hairstyles start telling their story. All babies begin life with shaved heads, a clean slate, if you will. As they grow, young boys get a single braided plait that extends to the back of their head, while little girls typically have 2 braided plaits that angle forward at eye level. If a family has twins, those lucky kids might rock a single plait extending forward. It's their special twins' signature look. Once girls hit puberty, things get really interesting. They start adding lots of ochre-textured hair plaits, some arranged to partially veil their faces. These elaborate styles aren't just for show. They're announcing to the community, "Hey everyone, I'm not a little girl anymore." But the most dramatic hairstyle transformation comes after marriage. Women who have been married for about a year or have had a child wear an ornate headpiece called the erembi. This isn't your basic hat. It's a sculptured crown made from sheepskin with countless streams of braided hair, all colored and shaped with ochre paste. When you see a woman wearing an arembe, you immediately know she's a married mother. No relationship status updates needed. Men's hairstyles follow their own system. Unmarried young men continue rocking that single braided plait, while married men wear a cap or head wrap with unbraided hair beneath. If a man becomes a widower, he'll remove his cap and expose his unbraided hair as a sign of his changed status. Creating these hairstyles is no simple task. It often takes hours of careful work, and women typically help each other in the process. Hair extensions are frequently made from goat hair gathered from the livestock they breed. The exact style might also be influenced by family lineage and clan membership. Every twist, braid, and ornament has meaning and purpose. And here's where the Himba get really clever with their limited resources. Since water is so scarce, they use wood ash to cleanse their hair instead of shampoo. It's an effective dry cleaning method that's been working for them for generations. What's particularly fascinating is how these hairstyles serve as a public record of important life events and status. You don't need to ask personal questions about whether someone is married or has children. Their hair already tells you everything you need to know. It's a visual language that everyone in the community understands and respects. So the next time you're stressing about a bad hair day, just remember the Himba women who've turned hair into an art form that communicates their entire life story. Let's talk about the daily grind for Himba women, because trust me, it makes our busy schedules look like a walk in the park. These women are basically superheroes without the capes, handling a workload that would make most of us collapse from exhaustion by lunchtime. Here's a typical day. Dawn hasn't even properly broken when the women are already up and at it. Milking cows and goats, a crucial task that provides the community with essential nutrition. This isn't a once-in-a-while chore. It's a twice-daily commitment that can't be skipped, no matter what. Once the milking is done, the real work begins. Himba women are responsible for carrying water to the village, often walking miles under the scorching sun with heavy containers balanced perfectly on their heads. And we complain when we have to carry groceries from the car to the kitchen. Next up is home maintenance. The women plaster the Mopane wood homes with a mixture of red clay soil and cow manure that acts as a binding agent. Then there's the firewood collection, another physically demanding task that involves searching for suitable wood, chopping it, and carrying heavy bundles back to the village. This is followed by tending to the calabash vines used for producing and ensuring a secure supply of soured milk, a staple in the Himba diet. Cooking meals over open fires comes next, followed by serving food to the family and community members. In between all these essential tasks, Himba women somehow find time to craft beautiful handicrafts, clothing, and the intricate jewelry they're famous for. Childcare is a community effort in Himba culture. Women take care of not just their own children, but other women's children too. It's a practical approach that allows mothers to complete their many duties while ensuring all children are well cared for. This collective approach to raising kids creates strong bonds between all members of the community. Meanwhile, the men's main tasks involve tending to livestock farming and herding, which often takes them away from the family home for extended periods. They're also responsible for animal slaughtering, construction, and holding council with village tribal chiefs to discuss community matters. What's remarkable is that despite this intense workload, Himba women approach their responsibilities with incredible grace and even joy. There's singing while they work, storytelling during group activities, and a general sense of purpose and pride in their contributions to community survival. The daily routine changes subtly with the seasons. During the dry season, more time is spent seeking water sources and moving cattle to better grazing grounds. When the rains come, there's more focus on planting and tending crops like maize and millet. Their diet is simple but nutritious, consisting primarily of soured milk and maize porridge. Meat is consumed sparingly, usually only during special occasions or celebrations. The diet is supplemented with chicken eggs, wild herbs, and honey when available. What's particularly impressive is how Himba women manage to maintain their cultural practices despite these demanding daily routines. They still find time for the elaborate beauty rituals with ochre, for the social connections that keep their community strong, and for passing down traditional knowledge to younger generations. The resilience of these women in the face of such challenging circumstances is truly awe-inspiring. They've developed a strength, both physical and mental, that allows them to not just survive, but thrive in one of the world's most unforgiving environments. And they do it all while looking absolutely fabulous in their red ochre beauty. All right, let's get into one of the most fascinating aspects of Himba culture: how they handle relationships, marriage, and family life. It's probably going to challenge some of your ideas about how society should be organized, but that's what makes learning about different cultures so eye-opening. The Himba practice polygamy, which means a man can have multiple wives, with the average Himba man being husband to 2 wives at the same time. This isn't random, though. It's a deeply structured social system with clear rules and expectations. Marriage in Himba culture starts early, with young girls being matched to male partners chosen by their fathers once they hit puberty. Now, this is a controversial practice. It's actually illegal in Namibia, and even some Himba people oppose it, though it remains widespread. By Western standards, this seems incredibly young, but in traditional Himba society, it's connected to their views on the transition to adulthood. For Himba people, a boy isn't considered a full-fledged man until he gets married. And here's the interesting part. A Himba girl isn't considered a fully fledged woman until she bears a child. So their concept of adulthood is tied not just to age, but to these specific life stages and responsibilities. The marriage process itself involves some serious negotiations around bride wealth. Basically, the exchange of cattle from the groom's family to the bride's family. Cattle are the backbone of the Himba economy, so this isn't just a symbolic exchange, but a significant economic transaction. The cattle offered must appear to be of high quality for the bride's family to accept the bride wealth. It's standard to offer an ox, but wealthier families might offer more cattle. Now here's where things get really interesting. The Himba have a unique social structure based on something called bilateral descent. This means that every tribe member belongs to 2 clans simultaneously, one through their father, called Oruzo, and another through their mother, called Eanda. Sons live with their father's clan, and when daughters marry, they go to live with their husband's clan. But when it comes to inheritance, they follow the mother's line, not the father's. So a son doesn't inherit his father's cattle, he inherits his maternal uncle's instead. This system is actually quite clever for nomadic people living in extreme environments because it allows individuals to rely on 2 sets of kin spread over a wide area, creating a broader safety net. The tribal structure also carries moral obligations. When someone dies, the community evaluates how well those left behind, like orphans and widows, are cared for. Access to water points and pastures is also part of this inheritance and social responsibility system. Family life centers around the homestead, or onganda, which is like a small family village. It consists of a circular arrangement of huts around that sacred ancestral fire we mentioned earlier, and the kraal for livestock. Multiple generations often live together, creating a tight-knit community where knowledge, stories, and traditions are passed down daily. What's particularly noteworthy about Himba's social structure is how it balances individual needs with community survival. In a harsh environment where going it alone would be nearly impossible, they've developed a complex system of mutual support and obligation that ensures everyone has a place and a role to play. And for those thinking this all sounds very traditional, here's a surprising twist. A 2020 genetic study of a semi-nomadic Himba group near the Angolan border found that 48% of all children were conceived with a father outside of the marriage, and more than 70% of couples had at least one child from an extra-pair relationship. Even more fascinating, both parents could, with about 72 to 73% reliability, tell which of their children had a different biological father. So while the social structure appears rigid from the outside, there's clearly a lot of complexity beneath the surface. Let's talk about something that doesn't get enough credit: the incredible wealth of knowledge and skills that Himba women possess. We're not talking about college degrees or professional certifications here, but something equally valuable: practical wisdom passed down through generations that allows them to thrive in one of the world's most challenging environments. Himba women are walking encyclopedias of botanical knowledge. They can identify hundreds of plants, knowing which ones are medicinal, which are poisonous, which can be eaten in droughts, and which make the best materials for crafts. They know exactly when to harvest each plant and how to preserve its useful properties. This knowledge isn't written down in textbooks. It's memorized and passed on through hands-on teaching from mother to daughter. Their skill with animal husbandry is equally impressive. Himba women know the bloodlines of their livestock going back generations. They can spot signs of illness in animals before obvious symptoms appear, and they know exactly which plants to use as natural remedies. They understand animal behavior so well that they can predict which mothers will be good milk producers or which young bulls will make the best breeding stock. Then there's their incredible craftsmanship. Himba women create beautiful jewelry using ostrich eggshell beads, copper wire, grass, cloth, and other materials. The techniques for making these ornaments require years of practice to master. A single necklace might take weeks to complete, with each bead carefully crafted by hand. Some women wear up to 40 pounds of jewelry, all handmade. Their ability to work with leather is nothing short of masterful. Using simple tools and all-natural treatments, they can transform raw animal hides into soft, durable leather for clothing, bags, and other essentials. Himba women are also skilled potters, creating vessels that are both beautiful and perfectly functional for their needs. Their textile work is equally impressive. While traditional Himba clothing is minimal, the items they do make, like the leather skirts and headdresses, require complex techniques to create. Perhaps most crucially, Himba women are masters of water conservation. In an environment where water is incredibly precious, they've developed dozens of techniques to use every drop efficiently. They know exactly how to determine which water sources are safe to drink, how to purify questionable water using natural methods, and how to store water to prevent evaporation and contamination. Food preservation is another area where their knowledge shines. Without refrigeration or modern packaging, they've developed methods to preserve milk, meat, and plant foods using fermentation, drying, and other natural techniques. Their soured milk, for example, is not only delicious but stays fresh much longer than regular milk would in the desert heat. What makes this knowledge particularly valuable is its sustainability. Everything the Himba women do works with nature rather than against it. Their practices have allowed them to live in a harsh environment for centuries without depleting its resources. something our modern societies could learn a lot from. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room. How do the Himba, with their ancient traditions and ways of life, navigate our rapidly changing modern world? It's not easy, and they're facing some pretty significant challenges that threaten the very foundation of their culture. Climate change hits the Himba particularly hard. As pastoralists dependent on predictable weather patterns, the increasing droughts in Namibia pose an existential threat. When 90% of your wealth and food security is tied up in livestock that need grass and water to survive, prolonged droughts can be catastrophic. Some Himba have been forced to leave their traditional lands simply because they can no longer sustain their herds there. Land rights and encroachment form another major challenge. Mining operations, commercial farms, and even conservation efforts sometimes restrict the Himba's access to traditional grazing lands and water sources. In 2013, hundreds of Himba people marched in protest in Opuwo against mining operations on their traditional land and violations of their human rights. They've had to become politically active just to hold on to their ancestral territories. Then there's the controversial Orokawe Dam project along the Kunene River. If built, it would flood ancestral Himba lands. The Himba have worked with international activists to block the dam and even submitted protest declarations to the United Nations, the African Union, and the government of Namibia. It's a David versus Goliath situation, with a small indigenous group standing up to powerful economic interests. Education presents both opportunities and dilemmas. Some Himba children now attend Western-style schools, which can create cultural disconnects. As Chief Nongaba, who has 4 wives and 19 children, explains, when these children get into school, most of the children feel shame. They think most of the children are talking about them, that they are not looking so beautiful. There's a tension between wanting their children to have opportunities in the modern world while preserving their cultural identity. The pull of modern conveniences is strong, especially for younger Himba. Owen Kataparo, a Himba man who grew up in a traditional village but now runs several businesses, notes, "A lot of boys leave the village and go down into the town to try to find a job. Some of the boys find a job. Some of the boys don't find a job. And then some of them decide to take alcohol. They end up abusing their life." Yet despite these challenges, the Himba show remarkable resilience and adaptability. They've survived genocide by German troops in the 1900s, warfare in the 1980s, and devastating droughts. Many continue to live their traditional lifestyle while selectively engaging with aspects of modernity that benefit them. As village head Chief Nongaba puts it, while he wants his children to become doctors, teachers, work in government, and live a different life to me, he acknowledges the reality. The world has changed. The Himba are not static relics of the past, but a living culture navigating complex choices about their future. As we wrap up our journey into the world of the Himba women, we can't help but wonder what lessons we might take away from these remarkable guardians of an ancient way of life. In a world obsessed with the next technological breakthrough, the latest fashion trend, or the newest social media platform, the Himba offers us something increasingly rare, a glimpse into a lifestyle that has remained essentially unchanged for centuries. The Himba story is not one of a primitive culture stubbornly resisting progress, but rather of a people thoughtfully navigating the complexities of cultural preservation in a rapidly changing world. They're making conscious choices about which traditions to maintain and which adaptations to embrace. Choices that many of us make unconsciously as we're swept along by the current of mainstream culture. Their journey offers us an alternative vision, one where tradition and adaptation coexist, where beauty emerges from necessity and where community provides the foundation for individual flourishing. As the Himba saying goes, "The sun sets but leaves its light in the sky." The wisdom of the Himba women continues to illuminate our understanding of what it means to live with purpose, connection, and harmony in an ever-changing world. If you found this story inspiring, make sure to subscribe to our channel and like this video. Until our next adventure,